Okay, I was telling you folks that most problems that we have as ranchers are falling into pretty much two categories, nutrition and genetics. So just to sum up, to summarize, we are actually, how do we address nutrition? Well, grazing management, right? We're trying to get better infiltration rates. We're trying to create more diversity of grasses and forbs. And genetics is that constant culling that we do, that trying to keep the herd clean, you know, getting rid of all those low-performing cattle. And that also helps us with the cash flow, because we're selling cattle, if not every month, every other month. Every other month. Some cows may do pretty well on the mountain range. Some others may do well on the flats, on the range. And some others may do on the field, but we need a cattle that will perform in pretty much the whole environments. I have been in ranches where I go to, for example, I went to a ranch in Colorado, and they have cattle at the bottom, and they have cattle at the top, on a mesa, a flat. So I asked the guy, why you have these cattle here? Because they cannot go up. Sell them. I think we're spoiling too much our cattle. So we need the cattle to work for us, not the other way. Obviously, we need to provide good nutrition and then keep calling and selecting. Well, do you have questions from the previous sessions or 2 sessions? Anyone? What? Wow. You still have one more, right? Okay. You have a question? Hold on. No, go ahead. Ladies first, okay.
What is the corollary of your winter operation to our winter operations here? How do you see your applying your principles to winter feeding and cattle here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I need to compare, because I'm familiar with what Gabe Brown is doing. You know Gabe Brown? He's here in Bismarck, pretty much, right? To what we're doing. I mean, the first time that I heard Gabe Brown talking, I said, wow, we're doing the same. We were able, in my context, to extend the green season year-round. I mean, if you talk to someone down there in Chihuahua that you can have green grasses year-round, they may say, you're crazy, you can't do that. If you tell someone here in North Dakota that you can have green grasses year-round, again, you know, he's another crazy guy. We have been able to do that, both Gabe and I. But when I told you that we have green grasses year-round, that means that the green grasses will not be like lush green in winter, but they will have green at the bottom. And then Gabe have selected, see, we're going back to those 2 problems, right? We're gonna help you do grazing year-round. I think what you're trying to do here is to minimize the amount of bales that you put the whole year, from 6 months to 3 months to 1 month, depending on the year, actually, right? Every year is different. But what we're trying to do is to minimize the cost, so we can actually, there's more money left. But the principles are the same. How can I extend the green season? I mean, the similarities is that we have like a seasonal rainfall or seasonal, winter, but the nutritional is the same. I mean, how can we extend the green season so we don't have to supplement? Now, the other thing is that I mentioned is genetics. Genetics apply here and there. Gabe selected for cattle that learn how, but we both are stockpiling. We both are living grasses, tall grass, all the grasses there. So Gabe selected for cattle that will actually find find what to eat during winter on well-rested pastures. And also, he selected for cattle that it does not need water in winter. They will eat the snow. So you can really do incredible things as long as you can make your cows do really impressive things as long as you keep calling and selecting. Now remember that we approach the improvement of genetics on the two ends. If you see any population of any living thing, it's like a bell curve, right? It's a bell curve. We don't care about the middle ones. They are the average. We care about the ones at the bottom, and we care about the ones on the top. Then the ones at the bottom, that's the one that we keep calling. If you keep calling the low-performing livestock or cattle, then you're raising the whole genetics. But in order to make a bigger improvement, then we select the bull calves from the cows that are trouble-free, that keep a good body condition, and we put those back into the herd. Did I answer your question? Yes? Okay, yeah, that's kind of same principles. But well, I'm trying to take advantage of explaining to you that bell curve. You know, we're trying. See, one of the most difficult things is not growing grass. I mean, I can tell you, folks, growing grass is the easy part. Having cattle that is adapted to your context, to your environment, that is the most difficult part. And that you may not finish in the first generation. It could be a multiple generation because it's a never-ending improving things. How can you have consistent genetics if you keep buying from I don't know where? I mean, every time you bring genetics to your ranch, you are actually, again, diversifying all those genetic pool. And then you may start introducing some problems. Thus, we are believers, you know, on line breeding. And every time when I was in Australia, every time I said about line breeding, I mean, inbreeding is when it doesn't work. Line breeding when it does work. They were like, oh my God, they probably never heard that before, like a Gloucester or something. And I ended up just joking with them, saying, okay, this is very easy, folks. If you ended up having a calf with 2 heads, then in Mexico, we make more barbacoa. And that's it. And they just laugh. But they really down under, as they say, you know, they couldn't really accept the fact that you can raise your own bulls. But what I have seen, and from the people that I have learned that they are more advanced on everything, they mostly raise, most of the bulls are home raised. And when they go and look for genetics, they're very careful on what they put on the ranch. Because then you're opening the door again, you know, but please don't worry about just keeping your own bulls, because that's the way to actually be consistent on that regard. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if you're familiar with like alkali spots. We call them alkali spots up here, where in a pasture there'll be a spot where it could be damp, nothing grows, except maybe kochia or foxtail or something like that.
Okay, uh-huh.
We have the quickest formula to heal that area or to make it profitable.
Okay, yeah, let me, okay, so what is the name of that? The alkali? Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
How to heal it, I guess.
The most degraded places that I have seen, remember that, like salts, right? When you see this white, I don't know if it happens here, but some kind of whitish patches, we had the same. You know what happened there? we actually lost the organic matter and the living soils, and then the salts just go out. And the only thing that grows there is plants that can deal with alkaline salts, like Zacatón is one. I mean, in our area, all those kind of plants. We've been able to actually restore those places, but it's going to take years, right? Because it's very degraded, those places, just by grazing, just by massaging the land, you know, just keep doing the same. And then you're going to start, it would be nice if you start seeing weeds there. Because remember when I told you about these huge pig weeds? That's what a place that it used to have only just the salts and Zacatón. That's pretty rough plants. And then when we got those big pig weeds, then it changed to better grasses. So I'm usually tell ranchers, you're doing a good job if you get more weeds. Yeah. But that's a reflection that spot is it's in pretty bad shape. I have seen that also on places that have many, many years of no grazing at all. Like, yeah, I have one pasture nearby me in a neighborhood, and it's been 20 years with no grazing, and you see that's whitish spots with only alkaline plants. Yeah. Any other question? Hey, I'm gonna give you one extra one, okay? Questions? Yeah. Where? Right here. Oh, okay, tell me.
When do you wean your calves and how do you develop your heifers and when do they go back into the cow?
When do we wean? Usually we don't wean. We actually expose our heifers at 2-year-old. So they ended up calving at 3-year-old because we don't develop our heifers. They develop slowly. So they're always on the herd. And some of them get pregnant but the problem is many of them get cold because they don't get pregnant again. So the ones that actually make it in see, the heifers never leave. They always stay on the herd. And let's say that 20% get pregnant as yearlings, right? But then usually they fail. So we just give them the opportunity. There's a few that make it, okay. But because we're a very low input environment, like we don't really only provide salt. Obviously it's getting better every year, you know, better nutrition, but we're still stuck into that. We are okay for the heifers to get pregnant at 2-year-old and calve at 3-year-old. And about the weaning, yeah, we tried different ways of weaning. First, we were very conventional, saying like, okay, bring everything to the corrals, throw them out, wean them there in the corral, feed them, and then, but remember that we have a problem with the mountain lions. Every time we separate like the winners, the mountain lions will take. The ones that we see, they take down they kill some of the winners. So the thought was, how can we keep everything in the herd? You know, so we start using, the second trial was the fence line weaning. I know you have heard of that. Well, it worked okay. Still, there were another herd. Then we tried that like a nose ring. So they were kept with the cattle. I don't know if you have seen that. See, the problem there is that sometimes they get stuck into a mesquite. And they may turn the nose, but sometimes they don't. So you gotta be on the look, you know, for that. So we ended up a few years back, probably 8 years back, to start asking the cows to do something they haven't done for years, which is self-weaning. Some of the cows fail, but now probably 95% of our cows can self-wean. Usually the cows that struggle to wean, they are open cows. You know, they don't care, probably. But yeah, so we try to give as much work at the cows as possible.
So do you just
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's very rare because they are kind of developed very slow. We don't really feed them anything. We don't separate them to feed them something additional to the heifers. Yeah. It's the same for the steers. They just, I mean, we just throw them out like 2 months before we sell them, but they could be yearlings. We just, we're, on that case, we're just very keen into keeping, the priority is the steers and the heifers. And that's our weakest link, as you can see it. If they're okay, then everything else is okay. Yeah. They are kind of the driving for a few months, the herd, because we need to, when things get really rough, like on a drought or a dry spell, then we try to keep just everything together because it's going to be much easier to handle than just my foreman and the cowboy just going all over the ranch, you know? Yep. Any other question, folks? You have a question? No? Okay, don't worry because we have just 2 more slides, okay? We talk about these, folks. We don't want to see loose manures. I mean, the cow pie is really a good indicator of what's going on. Obviously, we don't have like this beautiful, nice shape cow pies in winter. I mean, it's getting better, but it's not. But I'm more concerned during the growing period to have a more consistent cow pie. What do you think about this cow pie? Is it good? Or is it missing something? You know what is missing? A candlelight. A candlelight, you know? Sometimes people get surprised when we tell them, or when they ask me, so what are you going to be talking about? Well, we're talking about this, and genetics. But why genetics? Because genetics is your 50% of the whole thing. They're so important for us to make a profitable ranch. So you can see, for example, on the same ranch, big differences. As someone, I don't remember who said, but there's more difference within a breed than across breeds. You can see huge black Angus and small black Angus, and so you can see this red Angus, and now you obviously know that which cow is going to leave the herd. You can even see that on the bulls. I mean, and to put it very simple, as Lasseter said, bulls should look like bulls and cows should look like cows. It's as simple as that. So this is just examples of, for example, these 2 red Brangus bulls under the same conditions, but responding completely different. And that doesn't mean that this bull was working, it's just that it couldn't adapt to that environment. See, it's the same picture, you can see the difference. Folks, I'm not actually trying to promote any specific breed. Obviously, I will not have milking cows in my environment. Or as a friend of mine says, papayas in North Dakota, right? Growing papayas in North Dakota. But I think more than the breed is what you do with that breed. I mean, is that you are actually trying to go out with your own, almost your own breed. This is a herd in Mexico. Actually, the name of the owner is, the original owner name was Billy Finan. A guy from Mexico, but he was like an Irish descendant. And I remember when I saw that herd the first time, like 20 years ago, I said, wow, this is amazing. Because even though they are low frame, like very low frame, like 4, my God, they are heavy. They go like wide. And I say, wow, this guy had the perfect cattle for grass-fed. That's why, folks, we are failing many times when we sell grass-fed because it's not a good experience for the customers. Now, a lot of customers know that if they buy grass-fed, they're going to buy a lean cut. So how can we get a nice grass-fed beef? Well, we need to work on the nutrition, and also we need to work on the genetics. When these guys gave me these steaks, they were well marbled, beautiful steaks. And this herd, folks, this is the only place that I buy bulls from. This herd has been closed for almost 75 years. And then I remember now the grandson is running the ranch, a very nice person. And he told me, you know, when I was with my granddad, and we were looking at 1,200 Hereford cows, all the same. And he asked his granddad, hey, granddad, wouldn't you think that it would be better to put like a tag on the cow so we know? No, you need to know each cow. On the closed herd, 1,200 almost identical Hereford cows. So Billy Finan was a guy that really strongly believed on selection. He actually got a quote saying, selection is the mother of everything. When he actually was about to close the herd, he bought 300 Hereford bulls in the US. The first year, he got rid of 270, and then he closed the herd. He also used to buy heifers before buying the bulls, try the heifers. If the heifers worked, then he went back and buy the bulls from that guy. So he was really extremely demanding on his cows. You know, one day, a guy, and his cows are still in the Chihuahuan desert. He was the mentor of my mentors. He was incredible. Some people say that he was the first customer of Alan Savory in the Americas because he and a group of Americans were bringing experts from all around the world, and one of the experts they brought was Alan Savory. So he really got a great impact on all of us in Mexico. And this is the only cattle that it gets exported. It gets exported to the US. He's the only one exporting genetics to the US because it's the good old-fashioned Hereford. These are his bulls. And then, I mean, we can talk about many breeds. I mean, there's really great individuals on all the breeds. This is a Black Angus. How you call this? Corriente or Corriente? Even with Corriente, you need to select. Just because they were brought by the Spaniards and they were on their own, and yeah, you still need to do selection there. See, that is cows getting adapted to their environment. You know, the Hereford bulls that you saw there, if you see a cow doing something that your herd doesn't do, buy one of those cows, and it will teach them the whole herd. That's how we spread that knowledge. Many people burn the thorns, but those cows learn to break the pads, scratch it in the soil, and eat them. That is after dinner. We call it nopalitos, nopal, the cactus. Even on this ranch, we just bison. This is in Montana. When you look, and the first time that we went to that ranch to do some, to consult, like those 2,000 or 3,000 bison look all the same, but after a few days, you can say, oh, yeah, I can get rid of some of them. I mean, you can start seeing differences. The father of one of that Black Angus bull, that guy is from Sonora, but he bought a ranch in Chihuahua. And he told me that his father took a chair where the cattle was and just sit there and look at the cattle. And his friends were saying, hey, what are you doing? Just wasting time? And his answer was, I'm making money. See, because he was observing his cows. We need to spend time with the cows if we want to actually be able to close the herd or raise our own bulls and heifers and everything. So this is what I was explaining to you, folks. This is like a normal distribution of a population. And then you will have a lot of, every time we raise the bar, we gotta get rid of some cattle. If we ask the cows, okay, now instead of calving year round, now we're going to 2 months, well, we kind of resetting, we're also starting our, we're gonna ask the cows, you need to sell win, we're starting again. Or we're not winning at 6 months, we're winning at 10 months, then a lot of cows will not make it. But we need to keep raising the bar for the cows. We don't strive. See, in the case of Billy Finan, with many years of he worked for 25 years. When he was 60 years old, that's when he listened the first time to Alan Severy. He said, wow, that's exactly what I needed. He got already good genetics, but he was like, wow. And he worked very consistently from 60 to 85, and he actually changed the ranch dramatically. He got good genetics, but he was missing the grazing part. And some people told Billy Finan, Billy, you don't palpate, you don't preg test. Why? He always said, why would I preg test? You want me to put in the chute all the cows, 1,200 cows, just to get rid of 10%? No way. So what he did was waiting for the cows to calving. Any cow that didn't show up with a calf, gone. No excuses, nothing. He was gone. Okay, so I think we already explained this, that, we try to get our bulls from these cows. We just don't care much about these cows, and then we keep calling the very bottom here every month or every 2 months. And then we put it into a nice large pasture. They come back. I remember a Red Angus bull that I had that was kind of struggling. And I told the foreman, hey, let's sell that bull. And like 2 months after, we went to take a look at the coals. And it was this beautiful Red Angus bull. Didn't even allow us to get to the cows. And I was really confused there, and I asked the foreman, why do we have that bull? Oh, don't you remember the bull that we called there? Why? Because we are taking that bull out of competition into nice, large pasture, and then it just recovers because he can select whatever he wants. So this is the idea, folks, just to change that bell curve, to have better cows, and decrease that poor cows. Questions, folks? No, fleshing ability, obviously the low maintenance, and remember that I told you that any cow that really requires time, she's automatically a candidate to leave the herd. Because the idea for us is to actually be able to manage. Right now we're running about 500 cows, but we've been working on the water infrastructure to go to 1,200 cows. We're working on the flow rate. That is right now limitation. We're going, most of our water lines are 2-inch gravity fed, but now the main lines now are 3-inch. We have more water than what we need today, but reality is that we're preparing because we expect that the grasses are going to be much better. And when you're working on improving your grasslands, you're working in a multidimensional thing. You're working on better quality and more quantity. So if you don't grow like a one more single plant of grass, but you improve the quality, then your cows, instead of taking 10 bites, maybe in 7 bites they will get nurture. So, but it's multidimensional. So what we're betting is that on the same acreage, we could run 1,500 cows. We just obviously need to get the discipline when things get rough to sell, right, to this stock. But obviously, always the limitation that you have, folks, is water. Water. I mean, how many cows you're going to be able to run? You tell me how many cattle you can water. That is always put you like a break, saying, hey, you cannot have more than the water that you can. And then that, or we can actually use the weakest link. Because if you can, let's say, manage 1,000 cows, but there's a section of your ranch that only can manage 500 cows, then in reality can manage only 500 cows. So you need to make sure you know that you can reach every acre with the number of cows that you want to have as one herd, or on a herd. Mm-hmm. Is that? Yep. Okay. Anyone else? So talking about rewilding, I mean, I know it's kind of a hot topic, and I don't know, a lot of wealthy people are actually trying to do that, buying ranches, taking down defenses, putting wildlife. To me, that's a nice dream. It's a nice wish. It will not happen, guys. I mean, we've been working in ranches that are like 500,000 acres with bison, and they are degrading the land. Why the miracle didn't happen? Because it's nothing compared to what used to be in North America. We have a lot of fragmentation now. It cannot be done, period. I mean, we don't have the wolves, we don't have the grizzly bears, we don't have the long migrations that probably they were hitting the same grass every 2 years. So it doesn't really matter what the size of your ranch is. And it doesn't even matter if you put bison. It will not happen. We need livestock control, mimicking nature, to rewild the places, so then the wildlife will look at our ranches. And that's what had happened in our ranches. Like, we have increased a lot of the different species. We have a lot of mule deer. We have a lot of, just to give you an example, foxes. I never seen foxes before. Golden eagles. I work with the bird conservation organizations, and they say, well, we have at least like 4 or 5 golden eagles at the ranch. And because in Mexico, golden eagles are really well protected because it's like a symbol for Mexico, right? It's on the flag. And they say you have the golden eagles, then you have an apex predator, and everything down under is okay. And, well, wild pigs and everything. So everything has increased, including the predators. But we don't try to rewild, we just try to do good with our livestock, and that comes as a one benefit. So how about the water cycle? Everybody's familiar with how the water cycle works. Have any of you watched videos from Walter Jenny? Raise your hand who has watched a video from Walter Jenny. I recommend you watching those videos, because I think we as ranchers, the more we know, the better defense we put up against. I mean, I don't have anything against vegans, but let me tell you, I have been on events where the only thing that they serve is just vegan food. I think that's pretty discriminatory to people who eat meat, right? But yeah, we need to know more about what we do, guys, so we can put up a defense. Like, we can actually explain the whys and the benefits. So Walter Jenny, I think it's Jehne, something like that. And he talks about the water cycle. The point, folks, is that 100% of the rain that you get 60% comes from the sea, about, and 40% we're supposed to promote that 40%. How do you promote that 40%? Vegetation, plants. If we don't have grasslands, if we don't have the forests we used to have, we will not get that 40%. We will get way more or less, and we will depend on whatever is coming from the sea. That's why the rainfall average is just going down. Because in a fixed well water cycle, when it rains, the first thing that needs to happen is we infiltrate the water. Right? Because we have aggregation and biology and blah, blah, blah. And then the water, instead of just evaporating, it does evapotranspirate through the plants. So when the water evapotranspirates through the plants, it takes this aerobacteria and seeds the clouds with bacteria, and then it rains again. Because if you ask me what is the best protection for the soil, it's not even litter, it's the clouds. You see, right, when it gets hot and it gets cloudy, you get a relief right away. So we need to produce more clouds that will make more rain. Any questions? Well, let's keep going. So some people may say, well, Alejandro, you took that picture on the right time. This is not my ranch, but it's a ranch nearby, and this guy took it right at the precise moment when he was getting the rain, and the neighborhood doesn't have any vegetation. Wasn't. Well, it has happened in my ranch as well. Before my neighbors got on board with this management, they say, hey, you're getting more rain, right? Or, hey, I walk along the fence and you got the rain and I did not get the rain. So what is the explanation? I don't really know. But what I can tell you is that ranches that are doing this, we're getting between 10 and 20% more rain. And last week, it did snow in the state of Chihuahua. I show you the pictures, right? Okay. I got like between 3 and 4 inches. My neighbors told me they did not get any snow. I mean, that is just over and over and over again. Obviously, they also do get benefit with some rains because now we're all building on we're on the same page. And that's what we're trying to do. Now, they do believe that if we regenerate 80,000 acres plus 30,000 plus 25 and so on, then we're going to create a way better microclimate. See, that's where my ranch is, and this is pretty common. Look, on this whole area, the only place that has some probability of getting rain, it was in my ranch. And you're thinking about here, this is a mountain range with forest. All this is like the continuation of the Rocky Mountains. So this is pretty impressive, folks. Very impressive that sometimes it's just there. So we can actually make incredible things. And I think I explained to you about this example, right, before? It's a very good way of kind of an indicator. A friend of mine is working with a guy in Texas. So they got some snow, and then he was complaining to me, a group we are in, that says, okay, this is unfair. Because we actually, in the fall, we work very hard to have skin in the soil, and the neighbor doesn't have anything. But he got all the snow. And I say, okay, I know what's going on. In summer, because you have skin in the soil and more biomass, your temps in summer, your temperatures in summer are going to be cooler, but they're going to be warmer in winter. So he captured more snow, but the snow melted right faster instead of evaporating. So you see how it works in any kind of climate? It doesn't matter if you're in summer, it doesn't matter if you're in winter. You will capture more snow and you will infiltrate it more snow. And you know which side is gonna be more pleasant for the cattle? This one. Because you're going to infiltrate more snow faster. Questions? 15 minutes. Oh, let me speed it up now because I don't have another presentation. Okay? So probably you all have run this example. We have seen, for example, we have seen sometimes this is in our way to the ranch, but it's not only like measuring right there, but it's what is around it. If you're just bare ground, we have seen like readings of 160 Fahrenheit on the bare ground. And when we go to the ranch, 75. I mean, I am right now in summer like 5 degrees cooler than my neighbors. 5 degrees, cooler in summer. That makes a big difference. What do we do on the mountain range? Those are our cows, they're not cheap. The cows need to do that kind of work. Otherwise, they go to the butcher, ground meat. So yeah, we actually do some herding. We place the cattle where there's very difficult to fence, but we do a combination of herding on the mountain range and also polywire. So you're gonna see some examples here. Like we already grazed this part, and now they're going and move to this part. It's very simple. We even use like an old 1.5 pipe as an insulator on the T-post. I don't give them the tools that they need probably. See, they did this by themselves. Look, this is the kind of mountain range that I have. It's very kind of rocky. What do you think about that edge brace, or corner post? They've been tested to work in North Dakota, okay? That Yaka. So you do what you can with what you have. It's where, these creativities start coming up. Why? Because we will not convince any rancher or cowboy by talking. They are excited because my foreman has been with me almost like 25 years, and he has seen the whole movie from a horror movie, background and that, to grasslands. So he's self-motivated. We don't really have to say anything to motivate people. It's really what they see. Is it positive? That's pretty cool. And well, they are 2 for 1, so you can place your order. See, this is the kind of animal impact we're doing in the mountain range. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. We don't really need to make like small paddocks. They graze like on this pattern, and they're done, and then we build the next one. See, they graze. There are very good grasses there. Some of them mostly grama grasses and other species. There's a lot of diversity on the mountain range. Now, do you know why it's important to have diversity if we're selling grass-fed meat? Anyone? I think some of you know. Why it's important to have diversity? Yeah. More phytochemicals, right? And those phytochemicals will get reflected into the meat. And then the latest studies, there are about 50% difference when you have at least 10 or more different plants. And the flavor, because at the end of the day, phytonutrients are called also, flavonoids. So they provide a unique flavor for the meat. See how much, I think we touched on this topic, try to prioritize your investments. Put your money with the highest return. Think about it, folks. You can see it in 2 ways. how can I, if I'm talking to a novice grazer, how can I lower the risk, maximize the return on investment, right? While at the same time protecting what is still left, right? We're protecting our assets, biological assets, while at the same time we're trying to get the faster return on investment with the lower risk. It's a slightly different than a traditional investment, right? The more you risk, the more your return may be. Here is you're taking a lower risk, but trying to maximize the return on your money and time. So this is our ranch. And this is how we prioritize our ranch. So like these are the high priorities, and then it goes all the way through the red, which is where we're gonna have to put more money and time and roads and everything. That doesn't mean that we will not get there. It's not a priority right now. And we use what we call like a fishbone approach mostly on our flatlands. I don't know, I may not have time to explain that, but I'm gonna give you a summary. I think you can take a picture if you want, but this is a summary of what we've been talking about. Like, you have to have a good water system. We need to keep, like today, keep going with the education. We need to get rid of that competition word and go about collaboration. Long rest periods, more mob grazing, way more paddocks, and, well, long rest periods. And try to keep it simple. If you can keep just one herd, that would be great. We use multiple species. We believe on that. Ongoing selection and culling. That is very important on your herd. We raise our own bulls and keep most of our heifers. We cow during the growing season. And we see our ranch as a lab. I think the thing that what's missed there is hang out with like-minded people. This is my dad. Last year, I told you about that story. He's still excited about going to the ranch. I mean, as my friend said, it gives him more years of life. Oh, well, I gotta go this place. So think about that, guys. It's a video of my ranch. All that you see used to be bare ground. Fortunately, I never took the time to take more pictures, but I can tell you, that was a bare ground. That's Ray walking with me on the grasslands, Ray Archuleta. I don't know if you know. Do you know Ray? I pay him pretty well to carry my luggage. So I think we were created to see beautiful things. And that's what we're trying to do, to see. How much time do we have, or we're done? 5 minutes, okay. And then I'm going to ask in 5 minutes, how much time? 3 minutes. Okay, let me give you a quick view of other ranches in the state of Chihuahua. It's not my ranch anymore. A mine, probably you have seen this example. There's a lot of gold mines in Chihuahua, a lot of mining. And then the owner told one of my friends, he wanted to give something back to the natives and not just a pile of rocks. So my friend advised him, and then they put a layer of soil here, and then brought the cattle. Pretty intensive, right? But they give hay, and then they put some seed on the feed. Obviously, that's a very high mountain range. So they get snow every year on that part of Chihuahua. But then in 1 year, this is like a 25-inch area precipitation. But in 1 year, from here to green grasses was pretty impressive. And then you can see how the place is getting just regenerated. Here are the cows. So if they were able to grow grass on gravel, I think we have better results than gravel, right? Now, this is another example where this friend of mine, which is between me and the mountain range, is a very nice grasslands, but very degraded in Chihuahua. This was the situation of his ranch. Pretty sad. He got good mentoring of another friend, and then just in 5 years, because he got like a 14 inches, I mean, those is like in the middle between 25 and my 9, he was able to grow this grass in just 5 years. This is how New Mexico should look like, folks. It doesn't look like that at all. I mean, I'm talking now about the New Mexico, not Old Mexico. Now you can see his cattle. I mean, he changed also the genetics once he started getting better grasses. And now I remember, because I'm riding in front of him, he was filming. Every time you visit his ranch, he has his horses ready. Even though he got like side by sides and everything, he'll always have his horses ready to ride the range. I got a friend who got a ranch very similar to mine, but he wants to show people that he could regenerate sand dunes that are also in Chihuahua. So he bought this ranch. Maybe he got it for free. That's what he bought. He doesn't have cattle there. He brings the cattle from their ranch, get in 2-3 months, and then live for 2 years. Because remember, it's a low precipitation, probably 5 inches per year. That's his truck. This is the animal impact he's doing there. Just animal impact. Obviously, he's putting some hay there. And that was the road. This is now the road nowadays. He did not seed anything, just animal impact and hay. So that kind of summarizes what we talked today. Thank you very much, folks. I think we're done with the 5 minutes. Oh, 3 minutes.